Greetings, most gracious audience. I am Sir Persevere, Knight of the Hand-Drawn Realm.
And I am Speckles, Salamander of the Hand-Drawn Realm and Sir Persevere's talking animal sidekick.
Today we are going to fulfill the request of a good friend of ours and review a movie. I must give fair warning and alert the viewers that I am a harsh critic when it comes to animation that is poorly done, especially anime and Tumblr art.
Uh-oh, did you finally go see an anime?
I saw a couple of anime movies during the 2019 Christmas holiday. I can at least credit Castle in the Sky with creative storytelling and a great musical score, even if the hand-drawn art was sorely lacking. Howell's moving castle, however, deserves much greater criticism. In addition to lackluster art, the movie itself completely deviated from the Howells Moving Castle book. Being a fan of the book, I was even angrier with the anime that dared to name itself as a movie adaptation to it. I mean, for heaven's sake, Howells Moving Castle was set right around European Renaissance times, and the movie decided to go off on a more modern steampunk tangent. It was really disorienting. Plus, the wizard in the book was never in danger of turning into some weird, big, one-legged bird creature. The apprentice of the wizard was also more like upper teens or early 20s in the book, not some little kid like what we got in the movie. That's only the beginning of my gripes with that movie. I know that fans love the film, and they are entitled to their opinions, but I honestly assign it to the status of steaming hot trash.
Ouch! So, are you going to be doing a full review of Howl's Moving Castle today?
No. You know the coworker that shares a Netflix account with us because of our ongoing boycott, right?
Of course I do. Such a nice person.
Well, this person requested that we watch and review another anime called Princess Mononoke. So, for the next few videos, I will share my thoughts on that movie.
Did you like Princess Mononoke?
I will answer that question with a chart of animation standards. Before I go any further, I would like to recommend Odin's Movie Blog. Odin is a good man with great cinematic taste, as well as an upright guy. Now, back to the review. The highest standard of hand-drawn animation on the planet is classic Disney-styled animation. In Disney's heyday, it was able to draw cartoon humans that were faithful to anatomical proportions. Anime famously fails to achieve this, and so I always view it as inferior. Furthermore, anime has less fluid motion than classic Disney, and I for one cannot stand choppy motions. However, there are levels of inferiority to consider. First of all, let's put up my Western hand animation standard. Here we have a picture from a movie that is not owned nor created by Disney, and is actually my favorite film of all times. This is The Swan Princess, which was released by Nest Studios in 1994. The director is Richard Rich, who actually worked for Disney for a while before starting his own studio. Sadly, this is the only masterpiece Richard ever created with Nest, as the other movies and sequels he made were duds. But The Swan Princess is arguably the best Western hand animated film of all time. It has excellent art, a vibrant heart, memorable quotes,
You should write a book. How to Offend Women in 5 syllables or less.
and wonderful lessons to be shared around the world. It adheres to human and animal anatomy very faithfully while making them cartoony at the same time. The Swan Princess, then, is my standard. Now, on to the different levels of lackluster anime art. We shall start by the best that anime has to offer, and then go down the list to the worst. So, the best anime style actually goes to movies and shows like Netflix's Castlevania. You can look at the characters and see anime drawn all over them. Also, Castlevania has fewer frames per second than classic Disney, making the motions as choppy as typical anime. However, unlike the other styles of anime, Castlevania actually stays true to human proportions. The eyes and mouths are neither too big nor too small. The noses are likewise drawn at just the right sizes. The heads are drawn in perfect relationship to the bodies. Is Castlevania as good as classic Disney? By my standards, no. But again, unlike other anime, I actually like the art in Castlevania, even if the adult themes are too intense for my liking. If more anime is ever drawn at this caliber, I will definitely go out of my way to watch it. At this point, I will remind the viewer that all the anime styles going down the chart are absolutely abysmal, according to my tastes. So, here we go. The least bad of the bad styles is the Avatar The Last Airbender style. I would consider this style to include both Avatar and Netflix's Voltron reboot. This style does not stay true to human proportions. As you can see in this shot of Avatar, we have a kid who has greatly exaggerated eyes and an exaggerated mouth. Pretty creepy if you ask me. On the other hand, the characters of Voltron are a little more true to human proportions than Avatar, but they have moments where they do these freaky facial tics for presumably comedic effects. Next down, we have the Studio Ghibli movies. The noses are poorly drawn as pointy triangles. The mouths don't fare much better, as sometimes they are too big and other times they are too small. When the characters blush, it doesn't look quite right. The eyes and ears are typically fine, however. And now we come to the Naruto style. The eyes aren't terribly exaggerated. But for heaven's sake, where's the nose? Did it get surgically removed or something? And what's with the stupid whiskers? Black! Under Naruto, we have One Piece. This is where the worst of anime becomes even more pronounced. The eyes are as freakishly big as saucers. Some of the noses are practically non-existent. This is truly a steaming load of garbage. Beneath One Piece in the ranking, we find Pokemon. What's with the cheeks? I can probably cut my finger on those pointy faces. The eyes are too ridiculously big, and the noses are too tiny. Finally, we get to the bottom of the barrel of anime, until such a time happens wherein my chart is updated. The worst style of all is none other than Dragon Ball Z. The characters have large eyes, tiny noses, tiny mouths, and great big Dumbo ears. What's the deal? Why would someone go ahead and invent this hideous art style? And I use the term art loosely. In fairness, it's still better than something like The Simpsons. In fact, I'll even go so far as to say that I prefer Dragon Ball Z over those festering abominations known as Adventure Time and Rick and Morty. But those shows are not anime, so they don't count on this list. So, where does Princess Mononoke lie? It is a Ghibli film, so it's 2 slots below Castlevania in terms of anime quality.
So, to answer my question, you did not like Princess Mononoke.
You are most perceptive, Speckles. The art is subpar. However, it still has redeeming qualities that help it to not be utter rubbish. Oh, look! Gertie the dinosaur has decided to make a cameo appearance on here.
I must admit, in some ways, Gertie is more impressive than the Iron Giant. The beloved metal titan held both a rock and a tree, but she ate them both.
Indeed. Gertie, while you're on, may I ask you a question? Do you like anime? Good girl. Here, have a pumpkin. Thank you for coming on the show. Do you plan on coming back? Given that you are in the public domain, you can come and go as you please. Excellent. I look forward to your future guest star appearances. Will you bow for the audience? Thank you. Farewell, Gertie. Don't be a stranger. All right. Is there anything else we need to address before we start reviewing Princess Mononoke?
Do you think Queen Hive Mind likes anime? Perhaps you would actually enjoy doing this review with us.
I don't know. Let's ask her. Honestly, though, I'd rather not have her here as a guest. She is such a bothersome pest. Queen Hive Mind? Queen Hive Mind!
She's not here.
Maybe we need to lure her to us.
And how do you propose we do that?
I have an idea. We'll start singing using the word that always brings her here.
You mean the ailment that plagues the world? The one that the looters are actively ignoring while burning down the neighborhoods?
Indeed. Ready?
Ready. Coronavirus.
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 Coronavirus. Ah, Queen Hive Mind. So good of you to join us.
Was I expected?
Indeed, madame. We actually wanted you to come this time, but you were nowhere to be seen.
So, we figured the best way to bring you on as a guest would be to intentionally violate your arbitrary rules.
Well, I guess I can overlook your offenses this time, since you wanted me to honor you with my presence. Besides, I've had so much fun pestering arcade outposts and geeks and gamers.
Uh-oh, what have you been doing this time?
Isn't it obvious? I'm the one who has been going around and copyright striking their channels over that video game controversy.
You mean you're in cahoots with the evil dog people?
That's me.
I have half a mind to kick you out of my channel. You should not be going around and thwarting freedom of speech like that.
Hey, you called me in, remember?
Yes, we did, Hive Mind. So, settle in and make yourself comfortable.
Don't mind if I do. So, what's this about?
We just wanted to know how you feel about anime. Speckles and I genuinely loathe most anime, but we figured we would get another perspective on the topic. The last thing we need is an echo chamber.
Well, for once, I actually agree with you. Anime is no good.
Wait, you don't like anime either? Surely with your love of Tumblr art, we figured you would love anime.
No, anime is too refined for me. I like blobs, scribbles, and sloppy penmanship, and anime doesn't go far enough in that direction. Granted, I like anime better than classic Disney, but it's not good enough for me. Tumblr art and The Simpsons are the greatest art styles ever!
So, you agree with us that anime is no good, but for drastically different reasons. Are you interested in sticking around? You have the feet for it.
Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. No. I'm off to pester the Salty Cracker channel. I'll kick him off one of these days. Don't worry. I'll come back for you when it's your turn to be kicked off.
Keep dreaming, sister. I'm a tiny channel with scarcely an ounce of influence, so I doubt you will ever have the incentive to kick me off. Until we meet again, my unworthy adversary.
Until we meet again, you insolent buckethead.
Satisfied, Speckles?
Indubitably.
Alright, let's go on and review this film. The movie opens with an admittedly beautiful shot of a mountainous land covered in forests. The narrator explains that this is a time when gods and giant beasts guard the forests. Some kind of black spaghetti monster can be seen rampaging through the forest.
Wait, a black spaghetti monster? Surely you jest.
More specifically, it's a black spaghetti pig demon. But more on that in a little bit. A warrior prince riding on a red elk emerges from the forest and encounters some girls, at which point he warns them to go back to the village.
That's an elk? Have you seen the protrusions on his head? They look more like horns on a goat. Elk have antlers, and antlers have multiple branches coming out.
In fairness, the rest of the body has a reasonable resemblance to an elk. I'd say this elk looks more like a bongo antelope. Anyway, the girls go back to the village while he checks on the Watchtower.
Such shoddy construction! A gust of wind could blow over that tower!
Chill, my cold-blooded friend. I'm presuming that the Japanese of ancient times built towers like that, so I'm not going to bash the animators of this movie for replicating this structure.
It still doesn't make it any less shoddy. Everyone knows a proper watchtower is supposed to be built of stones and mortar.
It's the best that a small village of peaceful inhabitants could afford to build. Now, let me continue the review. When the prince checks on the watchtower, the black spaghetti pig demon emerges from the forest and wreaks havoc by knocking down the watchtower.
I told you it was very shoddy construction.
Yes, you're very smart. Anyway, the prince plays the part of a valiant hero and fights the spaghetti demon before it can reach the prince's village.
Couldn't the prince just simply eat the black spaghetti pig demon?
That's probably not a well-advised course of action. Can you imagine the indigestion brought on by eating a demonic spaghetti pig? Anyway, they fight, and predictably the prince defeats the spaghetti pig demon, but not before the demon touches him and goes, "Tag, you're it."
What's the big deal about a game of tag?
Apparently, you don't want to be tagged by a black spaghetti pig demon. If he touches you, you become a black spaghetti demon too. When the prince delivers the killing shot, the demonic spaghetti pig turns into a normal boar. Well, normal except for the fact that he's really big. Actually, he was one of those giant animal deities. I must admit, they do a good job of depicting the gore as the life exits from the demon and he turns into a set of giant bones. After the boar dies, everyone knows that the prince was touched by the demon, so the old wise woman in the village plays a game of dice with Pebbles. Apparently, by doing this, she learns that the prince must leave the village and go to the west. Perhaps in so doing, the prince will find a way to prevent himself from turning into a black spaghetti demon boy.
Wait, so the old woman plays a game of dice with Pebbles, and based on that, she figures out the prince has to leave his home? That's silly! Everyone knows you can't play a game of dice with Pebbles, you use dice! And isn't this boy the prince? Doesn't the prince get to make the decisions in a dilapidated monarchical system? Who is this old woman to kick him out?
Can I continue?
By all means, my good sir.
Anyway, it gets better. The old woman discovers that the thing that turned the pig into a spaghetti demon was a metal ball that was found inside his body.
What kind of careless pig would just eat a magic metal ball that would turn him into a demon? It's preposterous!
He didn't eat it, you silly amphibian. It entered his body in such a way that it created a new hole in his body and broke some of his bones in so doing. It was clearly a projectile of some kind, and I'll bet my old sock that it was a big crude bullet. Anyway, the hog was so consumed with hate after being hit with the bullet that he turned into the black spaghetti pig demon. With that, the prince is banished from the village. He is told by the old woman that he can never return.
Really? Even if he finds a cure to his predicament, he can never go back? What kind of village has those rules?
Apparently, this village. Anyway, the prince puts on a red mask and a cape made out of grass before leaving the village on the back of his noble bongo steed. While making his departure, he bids a final farewell to his sister, who gives him her special crystal dagger.
Does she make any reappearance in the movie? Parting with a sister is such sweet sorrow, you know.
Nope, she does not show up later on. And you are right, Speckles. Never being able to see your sister again in this life is a bitter blow. Anyway, the prince and his bongo ride through the mountains toward the west. Along the way, they come across a village that's being massacred. The soldiers attacking the village decide to attack the warrior and immediately regret it.
Did the prince become a black spaghetti demon and attack the soldiers?
Close, but no cigar. His arm does start to swell and look a little bit like cottage cheese, but he does not become a demon. However, he shoots 2 arrows. One of the arrows cuts a man's arms clean off and pins them to a tree, and the other arrow gruesomely decapitates a horseman.
Or beheaded.
Ew! Anime is a bit more on the gory side, isn't it? We never really saw this with classic Disney, except for maybe Night on Bulltop in Fantasia and The Black Cauldron.
As we stated in our Dogtown video, adults are drawn to mature themes that respect their intelligence. More than the style itself, I believe themes like gore are why adults tend to be more drawn to anime. Disney, if you had just done more movies like Hunchback of Notre Dame, you would have had a fighting chance against anime in the hand-drawn wars. But I digress. Let us look at this snapshot. Generally, humans drawn in anime are inferior to the humans drawn in the classic Western style. However, we can't take time to appreciate this. This soldier on the horse is very well done. If all the characters in this movie had been drawn in the same style as this soldier, I actually would rate it almost as good as a classic Disney or Warner Brothers film.
And look at those horses. They are absolutely gorgeous. Aside from the red elk bongo, a lot of the animals are very well done.
The horses are very anatomically accurate. I do appreciate that. Well, let's continue our review of the story. The prince and his bongo take cover in a forest before going into another village that's bustling with activity. He attempts to buy rice from a woman with a tiny gold nugget, and the woman accuses him of thievery. That is when the second weirdest character of the story steps in.
And who, pray tell, is the second weirdest character?
A fat little monk with a big nose. He presents himself as a friendly man and vouches for the prince, informing the rice seller that the warrior was an honest man. The prince walks away with his rice during the fuss, and the monk follows him. They set up camp for the night together.
All right, what's so weird about this fat little monk? You have not presented a solid reason as to why this monk is weird. So he's small and fat. What is weird about being small and fat?
In isolation, there's nothing weird about a person who's short and stout. But there's another factor that, when added to the first two factors, makes him a very weird and borderline unnatural character. Take a look at the monk in the picture. Do you see anything out of the ordinary?
I see him preparing dinner. What's so strange about that?
Alright, take a look at this picture. See anything now?
Again, the monk is just eating food with the prince. I fail to see what you are driving at.
This is going to take all day if we have to guess our way through it. Let me give you a hint. Look at his feet.
I see his wooden shoes and... Oh my! What on earth is going on with his shoes? Was he wearing those when he was running with the prince?
Yes, now we get to the heart of the matter, my amphibious friend. Throughout the movie, this small, fat little monk is somehow able to run, fight, and otherwise maintain his balance on his stilt shoes at all times. Now tell me, Speckles, what kind of man with a portly build is able to run and fight with stilt shoes without falling flat on his face every 3 paces?
Do you think this movie was trying to incorporate the law of Looney Tunes physics into the story?
If they were, they very specifically only applied it to this little monk. Everyone else is very much subject to the normal laws of physics. Like I said, this monk is the second weirdest character because of his uncanny ability to do impossible stunts with those ridiculous sandals.
If he's the second weirdest character, then who is the weirdest of them all?
I shall reveal that in time, my friend. But for now, I believe this wraps up our video for today. Next week we shall continue our Princess Mononoke review. I apologize for the time that this channel has been inactive since my Dragon's Lair video, but putting together this project is no easy feat. Up to this point, this is my most ambitious undertaking, and I hope to review other animated films using this format going forward. I split this project into several videos, created them up front, and will be spacing out the upload time for each video so that each one is a week apart from its predecessor. This is so I can get a breather while giving you all a new video on a consistent basis for a couple weeks. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you liked this commentary and want to see more like it, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Now, my friends, go forth, be gracious to everyone, and may God bless you.